stopped lately to ask yourself if you're actually happy? Lately, I have been realizing the importance of reflection, especially in an era where everything feels really stressful. And it's easy to wonder, when is the crazy actually going to end? It's almost annoying, isn't it, to even think of the idea of having to pause in order to think about your life, because you always feel like there's so much that needs doing. You have no time for contemplation. But I'm finding that by not getting curious about our internal state and all those feely things that we routinely ignore because we just have to crack on with it, that nothing is going to change. Except more time will pass like a kidney stone and we'll be further along in life. And that's a big risk to take, thinking that things will magically change by default. Sometimes you realize that you've actually stopped feeling joy in your life because the happiness has gradually decreased. You're so busy on autopilot just keeping your head above water that you don't notice the gradual decline. A good clue to becoming aware that you've become unhappy that I've discovered is when everything starts to feel meh. If you haven't seen the Emoji Movie yet, you might actually get a few laughs out of it. There is a main character, emoji, called Meh. But the movie's deeper than just a fun little animation. It actually goes into quite a few deeper life truths, but it does so in a non-preachy way, and the voice acting was really fun to listen to. Just keep an eye out and an ear out for Patrick Stewart's role. Pick which emoji he is. I describe meh as that feeling where you're not completely miserable, as you seem to have enough to survive, but you're also in that weird halfway zone where you're not exactly thrilled by anything either. You're in that numbing middle. And frustratingly, not in that cool Zen way where you're deliberately, with awareness and attention, deciding to walk the middle path. No, this is more just falling into it without realizing it. And you just feel, but meh is great and it's necessary because it kicks you along into the next phase. Asking the bigger questions. You start to question why you're doing what you're doing. How the heck did I get this way? And then finally, what can I actually do about it? A lot of us live in a climate where everything has to be done yesterday. We want to know what's the easiest thing that I can do within reach that's fairly simple to implement now so that we can shift the direction into feeling better. I've been looking for ideas on how to bring in more of the boingy, and an insightful book that I'm currently reading is called Unstressable. I have thoroughly devoured Mo Gaudart's previous work. A quick, who the heck is Mo? He was Google X's chief business officer and expert on artificial intelligence who quit his job at Google. I am glad he did because he is sharing some incredible tools about how we can be kinder and happier humans. And it makes sense to share stories and our experiences with each other because that's how we help each other understand ourselves, which is the whole point of this video. So firstly, here are some of the top tips from the book that I have gleaned. Digital detox. I'm not saying you have to throw away your mobile phone, and the book doesn't say that either, but you want to make your phone as boring as possible. The designers, the engineers behind making this phone knew that us humans like bright, shiny colors. All of these things that attract our attention and distract us. Have you ever done the rounds of your apps? I know I have, multiple times. It's like you're opening up one after the other in some kind of unfulfilling habit. We're all phone cracked, so make your phone black and white. It makes you think twice before mindlessly hitting each of those apps just to discover how many friends you have that aren't thinking of you. Here's how to make your phone black and white if you've got an iPhone. And secondly, with the digital detox, is to only have apps on your phone that educate, uplift, or inspire. So on social media, only follow people who educate, uplift, and inspire. Stop watching the news. Stop following so many influencers. Keep watching my videos. But honestly, you have a lot of control over what goes through those beautiful eyes, or those ears of yours, even skin. That's the biggest organ in the body and absorbs a lot, including moisturizer, hopefully not brown noise, though Mythbusters did bust that myth. That sound frequency of a certain thunderous subsonic note would actually make you instantly fill your pants.
The myth as we know it, yes, is busted.
Speaking of loads, number 2, the mental load. How many negative thoughts do you actually catch yourself thinking every day? Of course, there are the big hits, and then there are the death by 1,000 cuts kind of a hit. Thinking of a big hit, a whole bunch of people were made redundant at a company I was at. That was a big hit to witness. And fortunately, most of us don't face the big stresses on a daily basis. We usually have a lot of those. I'll just call them micro hits for abbreviation. Nobody gets away from this. We all have micro stress, every day in different quantities, different frequencies. Each individual microstress on its own can easily be overlooked, but we don't often face just one thing. It's usually an accumulation of things that happen throughout the day. For example, you've had a bad night's sleep and you spend about 3 hours trying to get back to sleep. You wake up late because by the time you got to sleep, it was only 30 minutes before the alarm went off. You get dressed hurriedly and you put on ill-matching socks. You're now too late to make breakfast, so you think I'll grab a piece of fruit before I head out the door, only to realize you didn't go grocery shopping last night because you were just too tired to. Now you're thinking I'll just grab a quick takeaway coffee and that will hold me over to lunch. Then you realize, my gosh, coffee costs $7 now along with the donation of my kidney. Exasperated, you buy it anyway, but then you spill some coffee down your shirt as you're trying to squeeze into public transport. You start having thoughts of rage, resentment and bitterness towards the workplace for forcing everyone back into the office at their own expense. And to top it off, you get side-eye from your co-workers who noticed you turned up to your desk 30 seconds late, adding animosity to an already unpleasant working environment. So this is a record. Before work has even started, you've clocked up at least 20 micro-stresses. With stress, aside from the uncontrollable big hits, most of our stress comes from our thoughts. Often we just allow our thoughts to get bigger and grow and get out of control. They're just running amok, unsupervised, like children upstairs. And then we add on the act of ruminating. You will make yourself utterly miserable thinking about never living up to who or what you think you should be. Our ability to handle stress has everything to do with our resources, our skills, and the abilities that we have currently at our disposal. And awareness of our thought patterns is the very first step. I mean, just take the political scene right now. There is an endless stream of negativity that we could focus on. So it's actually more critical now for us to pay attention to what we're thinking, what we're letting into our brains, what we're focusing on, what we decide to turn on, what kind of videos we watch, what music we listen to. Paying attention to what we let in. It's kind of going to be the next superpower. Let's face it, most of our thoughts are not helpful. The added drama, the what if scenarios, the imagined multiple consequences from circumstances that haven't even happened yet. Pausing. When you start feeling crap, just pause and go, what was I thinking about just then? And usually you can trace it back to really crappy thoughts. So the action that we can take, and that is mentioned in the book, is to shift our mind into something else. It doesn't mean deny that you're having feelings. It's just reprogramming your brain and giving it another activity to do. When you realize you're having a crappy thought, what thought do I want to have? Brain. Instruction. New program. Bring me a happy, helpful, or joyful thought, and wait. You've given your brain an instruction. Like, you have to wait. This takes time. Well, this is not the
just focus on something positive.
It's more like it's going to take some time to dig yourself out of the grooves we've created in our thought process and our patterns of being. You can say, please, however you like to speak to yourself, but be kind, man. We're going through a lot of stuff, like just surviving and just being human. Some days you're going to epically fail, and that's okay. But eventually you want to rewrite the program. Okay, brain, you're my partner in this. We're on the same team. This is all part of the rebuilding. Creating a new environment seems to be the theme of this year for me, where I've realized some things you can't change. You literally have to leave the environment that you're in. Maybe it's time to change circles completely. Maybe you realize that you were just simply hanging on, hoping that things would change. For every single complaint and every single whinge fest that you go on, which we inevitably do because we're humans, I find playing this fun little game really helpful. The game is look for something that is going right for you. I admit, it sounds really silly and it seems really childish, but give it a shot. I find that I get better each time that I play this game, and it becomes a lot easier to find the things that are going well in your life. It can be really simple stuff. You can break it right down to, I'm glad I can still smell, because I could smell that coffee that they're making down the road. What else is going well? Okay, well, I woke up this morning, you can leave it at that. Or you could add to it and say, I woke up this morning and I get another chance to try something different, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen today, and it could turn out to be the best day of my life. Just a chance. A good one I've found is, I have an opportunity to bring in calm right now. What's something calming? Maybe I will listen to those sounds of raindrops instead of the loud, bashing, adrenaline rushing music in order to pump me up in the morning. Maybe I will bring in some calm in the morning of sounds that make me feel good. I've often walked to the store, walked down the street, and I make a habit of counting the number of trees that I'm walking past. It's because it takes my attention away from my problems and shifts my mind and to focus on something that's calming, and also it's something in nature. Nature is healing. So if you can feel the breeze, count the trees, watch the patterns of leaves on the ground as you come across them. I got to thank Deborah for that one. I've started developing this habit of smiling at dogs and smiling at animals, any animals that are in my vicinity. I've been getting so much joy out of appreciating life and animals and kindness and just the innocence of a dog. They've got no attitude about you, you know, they're sniffing their own butts. It's like, what? So now it's almost instant. It's an instant habit. I see a dog and I smile. And you might like to try that too. Maybe it's something that makes you feel better. And the most fun part is every time those dogs look up and catch me smiling at them, they actually smile back.